UFO cover-ups were never about aliens at all. The CIA admitted lying about UFOs for 25 years. Start in June 1947. Pilot Kenneth Arnold is flying near Mount Rainier when he spots 9 objects skipping through the sky like saucers across water. Newspapers coin a new phrase overnight: flying saucer. Weeks later, a ranch near Roswell, New Mexico makes headlines when the Army airfield announces it recovered a crashed flying disc. Within a day, officials retract the statement and call it a weather balloon. Decades later, the government admits the truth, sort of. It wasn't a weather balloon. It was equipment from Project Mogul, a classified program built to detect Soviet nuclear tests using high-altitude balloons. Real secrecy. Just not the secrecy anyone expected. And that exact pattern, a real secret mistaken for something stranger, becomes the story of the next 70 years. Because 5 years later, the secrecy gets a lot harder to explain away. Picture Washington, D.C., July 1952. Radar screens at National Airport light up with objects moving faster than any known aircraft. Air traffic controllers watch blips glide over the Capitol and the White House. Fighter jets scramble twice in 2 weekends. Newspapers call it the Washington Flap. The Air Force holds the largest press conference since World War II just to calm the public down. Officials blame a temperature inversion. But internal files, released decades later, show just how nervous this actually made Washington. Because 6 months after that, something happens behind closed doors that changes how the government handles every sighting after it. In January 1953, the CIA quietly convenes a panel of scientists known as the Robertson Panel, named for physicist Howard Percy Robertson. Physicists including Louis Alvarez and Lloyd Berkner review the Air Force's best evidence, films, radar data, witness reports. Their conclusion says the objects pose no direct threat to national security, but their real worry is different. They warn that the flood of sighting reports is clogging military communication channels. So they recommend something almost nobody expects: a public education campaign to train people out of paying attention to strange things in the sky, plus quiet monitoring of civilian UFO research groups. That recommendation shapes government policy for the next generation. And it didn't just shape one report. It shaped the entire program most people have actually heard of, but never read. The Air Force had already been running its own investigation, first called Project Sign, then Project Grudge, then finally Project Blue Book starting in 1952. Over 17 years, Blue Book collects more than 12,000 sighting reports. By its own count, about 700 stay officially unexplained. In 1969, the project shuts down after physicist Edward Condon's university study concludes further research isn't likely to produce scientific breakthroughs. Case closed officially. But closing a project doesn't erase what's already been filed away. Fast forward to 2016. The CIA puts its full historical archive online for the first time, a database called CREST, more than 12 million pages. Buried inside are over 2,700 documents related to UFOs, citing reports filed by CIA officers stationed overseas, analysis of foreign UFO sightings collected during the Cold War, internal memos arguing over whether the phenomenon deserves serious scientific study at all. For the first time, ordinary people can read what the agency actually wrote in private, not what press officers said at a podium. And buried in that same release sits the closest thing to a confession this agency has ever made. In 1997, the CIA publishes a report titled CIA's Role in the Study of UFOs. In it, the agency states plainly that from the 1950s through the 1960s, more than half of all UFO reports collected during that period can be explained by high-altitude test flights of the U-2 and later the SR-71 spy planes. Air Force investigators know this at the time. But because the U-2 program is classified, they can't tell witnesses the truth. So they hand out cover stories instead, things like weather balloons and ice crystals, to protect a secret aircraft program, not because anyone believes something otherworldly is flying overhead. For decades, the government lets people believe in a mystery just to hide a plane. But the government's cover stories didn't stay confined to spy planes forever. Sometimes secrecy created something worse, proof that never existed at all. In the 1980s, a set of papers starts circulating called the MJ-12 documents. They claim President Truman created a secret 12-person committee to study a crashed alien craft. They look completely official. Government letterhead, classification stamps, precise technical formatting. Researchers pass them around for years, treating them as a breakthrough. The FBI eventually investigates, and independent document examiners identify them as forgeries, likely built from real declassified letters with altered text pasted in. Here's why that matters to you, even if you never think about UFOs again. This is exactly how fabricated authority works in everyday life, and recognizing it protects you far beyond this topic. Watch for these signals. 1. The document claims a secrecy so specific it should be easy to check, yet somehow nobody ever can. 2. It borrows real official formatting to feel legitimate, the same trick phishing emails use when they copy a real company's logo. 3. It surfaces anonymously, with no traceable original, only copies of copies passed hand to hand. 4. It asks you to believe something enormous purely on the authority of the paper itself, not on independent evidence you can check yourself. The lesson was never really about aliens. It's that secrecy plus official-looking paper is a psychological shortcut, and shortcuts are exactly what forgers count on you taking. Which brings the story into an era you actually remember living through. In 2007, the Pentagon quietly funds a program called AATIP, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, to study reports from military pilots. Almost nobody outside the program knows it exists. In 2004, Navy pilots flying off the USS Nimitz encounter an object they nickname the Tic Tac, accelerating and maneuvering in ways their own jets can't match. Their cockpit video and radar data get logged and classified. The program stays hidden until 2017, when a New York Times investigation reveals its existence, and footage reaches the public for the first time. In 2020, the Pentagon itself officially releases 3 Navy videos, confirming they're authentic and unexplained, not confirming they're alien. Which brings the paper trail all the way to Congress, on the record, under oath. In 2023, a former intelligence officer named David Grush testifies before Congress that the government retains craft of non-human origin. He offers no physical evidence during that testimony. The Pentagon had already created an office called AARO, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, specifically to investigate claims like his. In 2024, AARO releases a historical report stating it found no verifiable evidence that any past sighting represents extraterrestrial technology, and no evidence of a secret retrieval program. It also finds that some historical cases were misidentified because of other classified programs, the same U2 pattern repeating itself decades later. Some witnesses still disagree publicly, but notice what's different this time. The disagreement is on the public record now, argued in open congressional hearings, not buried in a vault for 60 years. So after platform of documents, from 1947 to right now, what does the actual paper trail show? Not proof of aliens, proof of something almost as strange. A government that spent decades more afraid of leaking its own secrets than of the public believing in flying saucers. A weather balloon story hiding a nuclear test program. U2 cover stories hiding a spy plane. A secret panel recommending debunking instead of disclosure. Forged papers that fooled serious researchers for years. Every layer of this story is really a lesson in how classification, real or faked, shapes what people believe, whether or not anything otherworldly was ever involved. Send this to the friend who loves conspiracy theories. And the truth is, this was never about aliens at all. It's about what the CIA still hasn't finished releasing.